Good evening. This is John Warren, publisher of the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper, coming to you with our program from the desk of the editor. This evening, we're going to continue our discussion of Proposition 50. The days are winding down. We're getting closer to November 4th and the special election that's going to have impact for the nation. And so we're excited about it. Excited to be here with Dr. Leonard Thompson III as we do this program. I always like to remind you that the Voice and Viewpoint, now in our 66th year, is probably the oldest and longest running adjudicated Black or African American newspaper in San Diego County. Our logo says that we serve the African and African American communities primarily, but we serve the entire county in terms of the community, because our position is that news has no color, but we do it from a Black and African perspective. And so history has always shown that we are, for the most part, affected a little differently by things that happen. Maynard Jackson, the late mayor of Atlanta, used to say that when white America catches a cold, Black America gets pneumonia. And so we are struggling against the pneumonia syndrome here. Mm-hmm. And we invite you to call us this evening. Dr. Thompson is going to give you all of the data on how to reach us, either on the internet or through Facebook or YouTube. And if you have a question or comment, we will welcome it during this hour, which goes so very fast. Dr. Thompson.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. We just want to invite you all. If you'd like to call in, you can call in at 858-251-6111. Again, 858-251-6111. Or you can go to our website, godradio1.com, and it will automatically play, and you'll be able to hear the show. Or you can go to our app. Our app is God Radio 1 on all platforms. Or you can go to Facebook or YouTube and godradio1.com and be able to hear the show and also comment on the show. Now, if you're on the app, you can also comment by sending us emails or making comments via the app.
Okay, and so we got a lot of things we want to talk about. Obviously, there's ongoing issue here in terms of what's happening with the proposition. From a national perspective, we have a number of things happening. Mm-hmm. We know that last week the president tore down the east wing of the White House without any prior approval or permission. And, of course, the Republicans said nothing about it. We know that as of the 1st this weekend, the nation is poised to lose its Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, or SNAP program, mm-hmm. which feeds over 40 million people and a number of our seniors. And there are contingency funds available, but the Republicans refuse to use them. They'd rather have the kids and the elderly and all of the affected people go hungry. And so their response is the Democrats are to blame, which is a total lie, because we're not in control of the House. The Republicans are. And the same Republicans, with Mike Johnson as their speaker, has refused again to seat the duly elected Democratic representative from Arizona, who has now filed action in court because this kind of thing has happened before, and the people cannot be denied their representation. And so we have all of this going on.
Yeah, I really want to start off even further into the weather with a hurricane that hit not only Cuba but also Jamaica very, very hard. A lot of Americans that are over there. My real concern will be, will they receive, as being a majority person of color nation or island, will they really receive the support that they should receive, being that they got hit with such a high category of storm and none of their shelters as well as their buildings were able to withstand it?
Well, when you say the support that they should get, I mean the difference between Jamaica and Cuba and Puerto Rico. I mean, Puerto Rico is U.S. territory. Cuba is a whole separate nation. And so Jamaica, likewise, is a separate entity. Historically, we have sent aid to people that were hurt, but with this president, none of those rules seem to apply. Right now, he's in Asia collecting more trophies and awards from people, and just all about himself, violating all kinds of rules, the rules on gifts being received by our president and elected officials or appointed officials from foreign governments. It looks like he plans to keep most of the stuff he's collected, just like the airplane. And someone even jokingly said they thought that South Korea gave him a throne, a crown, so who knows. It is unfortunate, though, in terms of the weather. All we can do is pray at this point. We are not in a position to order any kind of emergency assistance for anyone. If we were, we'd be able to feed ourselves during this crisis. And again, this president has given over $20 billion to a South American country because of the dictatorship orientation of the leader. He's done something else that's never been done before. He has done air drone strikes on 10 separate occasions against drug smuggling, supposedly submarines. They've been destroyed. People have been killed in the process. And now he's ordered a nuclear aircraft carrier to the Caribbean. And so it's just a question of whatever he wakes up and decides that he's going to do next. He's operating from the standpoint that no one can stop him. Supreme Court has given him immunity. He controls justice. He controls Congress. He's gotten rid of inspector generals, and soldiers aren't going to be paid, and so it's all his world.
And then and even the people that are responsible for making recommendations and overseeing historical buildings, he decided that they didn't have the right vision, so he fired them all, and said he's going to bring more people in that have the vision of the current country.
Well, a lot of his firings, of course, are illegal, just like firing the lady who was the librarian for the Library of Congress. He had no authority to fire her. That was an appointment, just like him trying to bring suit against the sister who sits on the Federal Reserve Board. I mean, Trump operates from the standpoint that he can get a middle finger to government, to procedures and rules and protocol. And the only thing that's worse than his thinking is the people he surrounded himself with, from Patel to J.D. Vance to the Homeland Security person and intelligence people. Everybody is just doing whatever he says. Robert Kennedy Jr. destroying HHS, CDC. It's just, and we just had a study come out that was a validation study that was done separate and apart by Harvard, Stanford, Brown, and a couple of other universities that looked at the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine. Mm-hmm. And they all concluded independently that the vaccine has saved lives and it was effective. But I don't think that will make any difference to RFK because he doesn't care about details. All they care about is what they have the authority to do.
So Dr. Warren, we're going to talk about Prop 50 today, and there are many other things. But, when back in the day, we used to always hear about the think tanks, and they would bring some of the most brilliant minds together to say, we got an issue here. We have an issue with the Democratic Party. We have an issue with the Republican Party. We have an issue with the executive branch, the legislative branch, all the branches. We have an issue. Everything that we've kind of known over the majority of my bringing up, it's all off kilter because everybody seems to be bought, and everybody seems to be afraid of coming up against this one gentleman. It's almost like there's a fear that he knows something about each and every one of them, that when they raise their head. So in the best laid plans, if we were to bring this think tank together, what is our next move? Prop 50 is one move, but what are the next moves that we have to look for? Have to look for now, in engaging the people, because we're still losing people, and people are still not taking it serious that we are at a crisis level.
Well, I think they will take it serious by next week this time. They'll be real serious because over enrollment for health insurance If you were paying $600 or $700, you'll be paying $1,500 or $2,000, or you won't be insured. And if you're not insured and you have pre-existing conditions and things happening, there's even a subtle racism of how the whole campaign is being handled. They're talking about the Democrats wanting to preserve Obamacare. That's not the name of the legislation. It's the Affordable Care Act. And calling it Obamacare is a racist, coded way of trying to keep people engaged against it, because when you said Obama, they got upset and excited against it. And when you say Affordable Care Act, then they're for it. And I think that I'm seeing many of the people who have supported Trump are being victimized by his decisions. The ranchers, the farmers, all of these people are being impacted by the kind of things that are being done. Food prices are up some 3% over a year ago, and everybody's paying more for everything. And yet I heard a gentleman when I was on my way here today who was white Latino, which is always very interesting the way they qualify themselves, total support of everything that Trump's doing on immigration. And yet he's violating court orders. The head of ICE was ordered into court this week to explain why they're still using tear gas and pepper balls against people in violation of a court order. I'm not sure what happened with that. And we know that Santos, who was sentenced to 7 years for all the fraud and stuff he did after he was forced out of Congress, his sentence was commuted. And so the Trump he was at a dinner this evening where the Prime Minister of Canada is there, and he's real mad with Canada because of a campaign ad that they did that talked about some things that Ronald Reagan said. And the nation is free. They have a right to advertise whatever they want to. Trump's people's position was, you were spending millions on this campaign to influence Americans against us. That's not your right. That's trying to curtail free speech. So, I mean, the American people have to get tired of this. They have to get tired enough to remove the people in Congress, the Republicans, who are drinking the Kool-Aid every day. If they remove them and the House is returned to being Democratic, then Trump can be impeached for the third time. We have the power to stop much of what's going on in this country. But the people, racism is greater than their desire for democracy. And that's the way I look at it. Because this is racist when you just grab people by the color of their skin. You are grabbing American citizens. The good news is that the protest is continuing on a daily basis across the nation, even though mainstream media, for the most part, is ignoring it, and they are increasingly acting like they're afraid to say anything. And so, it's just a matter of time until they come for the rest of us. But I think that we have to continue to speak up and speak out.
One of the things that I have to ask, because I hear you saying that, and you hear you saying that it's racist, but it doesn't, at some point, we might call it racist, but there's still so many people of color that are still supporting. There's still people of color that are voting against, seem to be the good for the whole population. What was disturbing to me when the Republicans spoke yesterday and blamed it on the Democrats for the government still being closed. I saw the gentleman, is his name Scott? I always forget his name. The one lone African American person that's always there smiling, and told the president that he loves him more than he loves himself.
Oh yeah, Scott from South Carolina, the senator. Yeah,
he's the only one that's up there that's still smiling and acting like I support this. But this is not hurting just people of color. It is hurting the United States of America, and we're going to see moving forth because I truly believe and this is just me. And I'm not speaking any doom, but I truly believe the air traffic controllers are not going to put up for it. I believe that airports are going to slow down.
They're already slowing down.
I believe that they're not going to be satisfied until a plane is misdirected or people die.
Well, I don't think that's going to make a difference because we already had planes that people died. We've had more airline collisions and accidents this year than in probably the past 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the air traffic controllers, they're right to not work for nothing under increased pressure so that they can be blamed for what takes place. But again, in every instance, the people have a right to do something. We have the right to do a recall in every district that a Republican member of Congress is not a part of the House or what is taking place. Mike Johnson's own district is going to suffer tremendously with the shutdown of the SNAP program. And they have the statistics up, in terms of the people in Louisiana. And he's going before them saying it's the Democrats' fault. How can it be the Democrats' fault when he controls the House? He has the majority vote, and he won't let the House convene because he does not want the woman from Arizona to get sworn in so that she can be the 218th signature on a discharge petition to bring the Epstein stuff forward. And so protecting people who are obviously implicated in the Epstein files is greater to these people than protecting our own citizens who are suffering and people are dying. Remember earlier this year, over 350,000 people died as a result of us cutting off the aid program that we had, food in place. And when the NGOs, the non-government organizations, sought to buy the products that had already been paid for, they let them rot and destroyed them rather than distribute. Over 250,000 children died, and another 100,000 adults, and people who were getting a sustaining nutritional assistance. So they don't care about any of that. And America, when I say it's racism, because, there are some people of color supporting him, but if you look at his gatherings and his rallies, these are white folks who believe that everything that is happening is for their benefit because America is getting too brown and too black. Their birth rate is down. And with their birth rate is down and the statistical indications that America is being brown and that whites are becoming a minority, it's a panic button. So I'd rather die a racist than live as in a democracy where I still have the rights and freedoms.
Well, Dr. Warren, I would just truly say that these midterm elections are going to tell us a lot about where America really is and if America really is fed up and America is, because, again, America cannot be America without the Latinos, without the African Americans and the other people of color. And so if they still stay in office, if they still win their seats and everything, I'm going to continue to ask the question, bar gerrymander and everything else, still ask the questions, how are they winning without us? Unless the system is rigged and there's no way we can win, I would have to consistently say that there are people, and I say that not because I sit in different barbershops and I hear conversations take place, and I'm appalled at how many people that look like me support Trump, and to this very day still support Trump.
And they don't vote, well, support it, but they don't vote. Half of the people in the barbershop that look like you, they don't vote. All they do is sit around and talk. Okay, and those who support him, they deserve what they're getting in terms of the payback. But we don't really have till the midterm. All of this stuff is going to come to a head before November of 2026. We don't have that much time in terms of the destruction of America. And the other question is whether or not this nation will be attacked before then by foreign entities. Because this is a good time for Russia, North Korea, China, and Iran to come together. And, we already have discovered that Russia has long-range missiles in South America. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they can reach us very easily. It's not like they got to come from across. Mm-hmm. Russia has at least 6 icebreakers, nuclear powered ships coming down the north because they're breaking as the ice melts. They are looking at the rich mineral deposits in the Arctic, and we only have like 1 or 2 outdated old icebreakers because we won't spend money to upgrade. And so we are in a very bad position. We want to spend more money contracting to ship people to countries that they have no connection with, um, violating people's rights, no due process, um, the whole bit that we're taking, violating the Fourth Amendment right. We got an article about that this week.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Amendment uh, talks about search and seizure,
Mm-hmm.
a warrant, and all those things. They went in an apartment building, taking kids and people out of bed and putting them out in the cold, tying them up, and for hours at a time. We have to get tired of it as a nation,
Mm-hmm.
tired enough to do something about the people who are in office supporting Trump, in spite of the fact that they took an oath to protect and defend this country, the Constitution, from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
So let me ask you this question. I'm an elected official. Matter of fact, I'm a congressman, and I represent my area well. Then the federal courthouse is now the basement is being used to detain people. What power do our congressional representatives have? Because it seems like they have no power. They came, they did everything that we're told, and they were still turned away.
But
And
they
they
don't have any power because they're minorities in the House of Representatives. The Republicans control it. The Supreme Court is validating whatever Trump does, so they don't have any power. But if we ever wake up and start moving toward finding candidates to run in each congressional district that a Republican holds a seat who's drinking the Kool-Aid, we can get change. This is not a new concept. This was done 40 years ago in Washington, D.C., when Southern Democrats, they called them Dixiecrats, were just oppressive over the city, wouldn't give the federal payments, and just took over. And the people in D.C. went and organized in the very districts of the folks who were most vocal against them,
Mm-hmm.
and did campaigns to get those people out of office.
Mm-hmm.
It was successful. So we're not serious enough, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't reached that point. What I said, Fanon says, as long as the head is turned sideways and the pressure's on the neck, they can breathe, they won't move. But now Trump is beginning to turn the head so that you're going to be face down,
Mm-hmm.
and you're either going to have to struggle to breathe or die. And that's when we're going to wake up. Until then, business as usual.
So right now we're at a major turning point. Here in California, there's a special election being held for Prop 50. And so let's talk about that and how important it is to start turning the tide in America.
Well, we're doing a number of video clips at the Voice and Viewpoint. They'll be airing this week to help people understand what's taking place. What is taking place, in effect, is under Governor Newsom's leadership, the California legislature passed a law, the Election Response Act, Rejection Response Act. And what we've done is allow Proposition 50 allows the changing of congressional districts in the state by an act of the legislature as opposed to the redistricting commission. It takes their power until 2030, at which time they get the power back. But the whole purpose is to be able to elect people in California that will help make a difference in terms of what's going on. So let me just give you a few statistics that will make some sense, okay? California has 52 congressional seats. Texas has 38 seats, and New York has 27. And so what's happened in Texas was that the governor of Texas changed their boundaries, which in effect consolidated two districts that had been held by African Americans. One, Sheila Jackson Lee, who died in office, and another one was a gentleman who was a congressman and had been in the legislature, and he died while in office. And they changed the districts and the areas that are included in such a way to add more whites and they give whites a greater chance, and Republicans then, because most of the Republicans in the state are white, all right? Even the ones that are Latino, they are white Latinos. And so their goal is to be able to add 5 more Republicans to the House of Representatives. Because right now, the Republicans have a number
You mean
of,
Democrats. You're saying Republicans?
they want to, Texas wants to
Oh, Texas.
add
Okay,
5
sorry.
more Republicans, which will help them gain control after the midterm. Newsom has done Prop 50 so that we can pick up additional seats that are held by Republicans. Give you 3 quick examples. Darrell Issa here in San Diego County represents one of the seats that we're looking at. Then there's a Ken Calvert, Inland Empire, moving his district into the Los Angeles area, which is going to make it almost impossible for him to get reelected. So those are 2 possible Democratic moves there, okay? And then there's another one in Bakersfield, a guy named David Valadao, and he's going to have almost an impossible opportunity to get reelected because his district is changing, so that Bakersfield and will vote Democratic. He will be in difficulty, and so the Republicans they give mixed numbers because some say that's 9. They got 9 people left, which is what you have left if you take those 3 out, and they are worried about what kind of control. The Democrats already control California legislature.
Yes.
Okay, Republicans are a minority. The next biggest vote in California is the independents because there are more registered independents than there are Republicans. And so these changes are going to make a very big difference because in California, for instance, 40 Democrats have seats. We had 12 Republicans. If we knock them down to 9, that's going to make a difference. In Texas, you have 13 Democrats compared to 25 Republicans in the legislature. And in New York, you have 15 Democrats compared to 11 Republicans. But the governor of New York, with the elections that are coming up next week in New York and New Jersey, the governor is not able to be as aggressive as Newsom is being here in California because she has opposition and people running against her. We do have the chance of picking up New Jersey, if you will, and Virginia in terms of 2 women that are Democrats, members of Congress, are running for governor. So here in California, the one item on the ballot is yes or no on Prop 50. You need to register. You can still do it. You can still go to the Register of Voters office and identify yourself and your address, and you can vote a provisional ballot, which means that they'll give you a ballot, they'll let you mark it, they'll seal it, put it in an envelope, and mark it provisional. And those ballots will be counted when they do the election next week. Those ballots will be counted after they count all of the other ballots. Mm-hmm. And if they verify your address and who you are, then your ballot can still be counted. So California is one of the few states where you can still vote on election day and still have this opportunity for things to happen. We got the drop boxes. We got the time. We put it in the paper. We put it online. We're doing everything, and you can vote if you're in jail. If you're in county jail, you still have a right to vote. If you are homeless, you can vote. The only time you can't vote is if you're in a federal prison, in which case you can't vote. And all you need to know about this election is that if we win Prop 50, we stand a chance of sending more Democrats to Congress to offset not only what's happened in Texas, but what's also happened in North Carolina, where the Republicans control the House and the Senate, And even though there's a Democratic governor, they have passed a law to gerrymander, change a district to add another Republican. And they're trying to do it in other states. It's an ongoing effort because Trump knows that if it stays as it is, he loses. And already his people are talking about a third term, which is unconstitutional. Some people are talking about running J.D. Vance and letting him be his vice, which is ridiculous. And so we need to act. If we can regain control of the House, we can impeach him again. We can possibly even pick up some Senate votes next year because 1/3 of the Senate is always up when you have these elections. Mm-hmm. And we're tied in the Senate 50-50 with the vice president as president pro tem of the Senate being the tiebreaker, and that's the manner in which we're losing. So all of this is important.
So one of the things that I just put up, because some people are saying we hear Prop 50, Prop 50. The official title is Election Rigging Response Act that they'll see. But Prop 50 is what we want people to know because it's easy to remember and it's easy to vote. And here's the wonderful thing about it, Dr. Warren. We got this special election, and guess how many things are on the ballot?
One
thing.
And it has to understand, it has to be the Election Rigging Response Act because the legislature does not pass propositions. Mm-hmm. The legislature passes bills. And so the purpose of the bill was to put the proposition before the people because the proposition allows the suspension of the election of the redistricting commission, which is appointed by law. See, laws are made two ways in California, either by the legislature or by proposition. Mm-hmm. And the system allows that when the legislative body doesn't act, then the people are able to gather signatures, get enough, and put an item on a ballot as a proposition to vote it into law. And so we've already had the act passed. Now this proposition will approve and put into law the districts that have been redrawn that gives us the chance to pick up additional Democratic seats.
Okay. So that's why it's so important that we make this move. And if we had already made this move beforehand and we were able to change the makeup of the House, we would not be seeing what we're seeing right now. And I want to just go right back to there before I come back to Prop 50. My question is simply this. The Republicans are blaming the Democrats for holding strong on the Affordable Care Act. But my question is, if all the Democrats are asking is that you hold that study, and we can continue to talk about it, but we have to hold that steady. What's the issue? Because they're saying the same thing. Okay, go ahead and let us feed the people, and then we'll go back and talk about that. But the reality is because they have been so untrustworthy, and so because they have been such, for lack of word, not people of their word, the Democrats are saying we're not going to budge.
Well,
and why should they?
They can't trust the Republicans in the first place, so that won't happen. But something else is about to take place because when they do reconvene, there are a number of appropriation bills, one of which will be to take care of the military. And, the difference is the continuing resolution, which they call a CR, requires 60 votes. So it has to be bipartisan. Mm-hmm. But they can move these other appropriation bills without them. But the present resolution activity expires on the 1st. Mm-hmm. And so that's what makes this whole thing so important.
So can I ask this question?
Sure.
So I would imagine when people get hungry, they get angry. Mm. You know, even when you miss a meal, they say they get hangry. But when people don't have gas, can't pay their bills, can't keep their lights on, don't have food, people are going to get angry. And once they get to that point of anger, then we're going to have chaos. My question is, if chaos is breaking out all over the country, is the National Guard still being paid?
Well, first of all, you have to separate that the National Guard is under state control. Okay. And that's why the judge here in the Ninth Circuit who approved of the president federalizing the National Guard in uh, uh, Seattle um, went too far because the National Guard is under the governor, even as federal troops are under the president. He was able to get away with it in D.C. because D.C. is a district, it's not a state. And so Congress still has overriding authority for D.C. And so the governor is deploying the National Guard to help the food banks feed people. He's also put $80 million out there in this crisis to help. And so he knows that chaos is coming, and that's why he's responsible for the welfare of the state.
Okay.
Under the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, all powers not delegated to Congress under the other articles and titles are reserved to the states. Mm-hmm. And so that means welfare, and that's why historically, going back to the Reagan period, the Republicans tried to block dollars going to particular programs and to give it all to the state in a block grant and then make the state do it because they could reduce the amount of money they were putting and increase the burden on the states. Mm-hmm. And so right now, the Democrats got to hold strong on the health care because people are going to die if they don't hold strong on the health care. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to swear in this lady. And when they swear in, they're going to have to bring the Epstein files up for a vote. And when they bring it up for a vote, the American people are going to see. So that's why Trump is using Homeland Security people dressed like military soldiers in Chicago because he doesn't have the permission to put the National Guard on the street in Chicago. But he will put the Homeland people there dressed like the soldiers so that the idea is we know that you all are going to break down and go chaos, and we are getting out there ahead of it so that we can continue to fire you, lock you up, deport you, and destabilize the government as you know it. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole game plan of Project 2025, is to do all of this stuff in a hurry. This is just the 10th month of a 4-year term. Mm-hmm. We cannot afford 4 years of Trump.
Yeah.
And if we are able to regain control of the House, that we can have options. And the House and the Senate, we can impeach and remove this man.
Yes, and I think, as you mentioned again, Project 25, I think that it's going to be very imperative that we continue to go back and remind people about Project 2025 and the plan and how well it's being executed right in front of our faces. And we don't realize that they told us this is what they were going to do before they got in office, and it's actually being done right as we speak.
Well, it's being done for the second time because in 2016, the Heritage Foundation for his first term had a plan, and they gave him the plan, and he followed it in terms of all the things he was doing. So here we are now. The primary architect of 2025 has been put in the position of being the Director of Office of Management and Budget. So he's controlling all of the money from all of the agencies and everything. And the whole idea is to hold the course in terms of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They fired people. They had to bring them back because it didn't work out. You know, you fired 1,000 people from CDC and you have to bring 700 back because once you fire folks, then you're realizing that it can't function. And it's organized confusion. Mm-hmm. All right. And I know we're talking about it, but, you know, we also have some problems here because mm-hmm. we spent most of our time on this topic tonight. But we have problems here. We have problems with the city council bringing up a 30% increase in the water bill for people. Well, we got problems, as you're concerned, about trash. We got problems in terms of housing, where we have empty units sitting here, and we are talking about token affordable, quote-unquote, care units when we are allowing investors to build buildings, keep them empty, and write them off. all the city council has to do is put a limit on the write-off so that the place has got to be occupied, and then they got to find a way. And we need to understand that during this crisis that we're in nationally, commercial real estate is falling. People are abandoning brick and mortar buildings. They're going to doing business online. Jobs are disappearing in the process. And it is a time that we need to be looking at the county very closely, as well as our cities in San Diego County. The people need to be engaged, not just for Prop 50, but they need to get engaged, period, if you're going to survive what's taking place.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be more and more important that we actually set aside time to learn. A lot of times we use this show as an educational piece, and we do that because there's so much that we just don't that we don't see or we don't hear about because there's so many different committees and so many things that are happening, and that's why we encourage you to read, to follow the Voice and Viewpoint, to continue to do your due diligence. And for those of you guys that say, well, I don't always read a hard copy or a newsprint copy, well, it's fully online now. So you can take it wherever you go. You might say, well, I don't know how to keep up with it. No problem. You got a telephone. We got an app. You know what I'm saying? Put the app on, and the app is going to ding you, ping you, and tell you everything else. Every time something happens, there's news feeds that let you know what's not only going on in your local city, but nationwide. So there's really not an excuse with all the different elements that we do have that we are not knowing and we're unaware. We literally have to make time. I tell people this all the time, Dr. Warren, just like losing weight, you have to make time to work out. You know, it's like your walk with God. You have to make time to have your walk with God. And so if you want education, or if you want knowledge, you got to make time for it, because anything that is worth having is worth working for. But we cannot just expect that we're going to be given everything anymore, because we, as especially people of color, we've always worked for everything that we've gotten.
Well, but we have a generation that we spoiled in terms of how we raised them. And so they don't feel any obligation other than to themselves. I did an editorial some weeks ago called In Spite of and Not Because of. The gains that we made were in spite of the opposition, the racism, the oppression, the segregation, and the forces that were rallied against us. And we've raised up a generation of children and young adults. They don't read. And for those who are there, this is not everybody, folks, because we do have some really good, hardworking, earnest young people. I want to give credit to them. But I'm talking about a whole element that allows us to be presented as if we all about the dancing and whatever trends they put out there and not ourselves. It pains me when I see a commercial for Jack in the Box or McDonald's or any product and they got a black person, they got to be dancing in order to promote the product. And everything is not a dance event or issue. And I think we're gonna wake up, because the prices are going up so in terms of the fast food, and the amount of what you get is going down, that pretty soon you're gonna start thinking twice in terms of where you spend your dollars and how.
You know, and one of the things about it, Dr. One, I like what you said, is that the generation that we see now is a product of the generation before them and the generation before them. I know for a fact, and I tell parents this all the time, we must take responsibility that in our desire that our children would have it easier than we had it, we took away a lot of times their work ethic, their hustle, and their ability to value what they got, because everything became so instant and giving it to them now, giving it to them now. Oh, well, we don't want them to suffer. We don't want them to walk 10 feet, so we're going to carry them. And we created the generation, and now for us that are still around and those that are here, it is up to us now to, like I said, right the wrong. For those that we can still hit, I get excited because I got a grandbaby, and the things that I wasn't able to steal maybe on her mother or children before her, I got a do-over right now. And so I want to encourage everybody, don't give up on any of our young people, but realize these young babies coming up, we have to still instill in them that same hustle that we had to learn and that same sacrifice that we all learned from.
Well, some of them caught on.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my kids and grandkids. I have at least 3 grandsons that want to be doctors. One wants to be an MD, and one wants to be an ophthalmologist, and One wants to be a physician assistant in terms of it, their interest in it. Um, they all three are bilingual, fluent in terms of Spanish, and their ages are such. One will I guess will be going to medical school either this year or next year, and so uh, those things were done well in terms of them. But I'm just as proud of my children who were learning from me while I was doing the work that we do. I call the work of the people, and they were being raised with the work being done. They were being raised to think and to make decisions and to understand how it works.
Yeah,
And so those are fortunate, but it's not too late for the rest of us,
exactly.
you know?
And Dr. Warren, one of the things that I always admired about you and like I said, growing up with your tutelage and seeing what was going on, is that I always saw the children there. You know what I'm saying? I always saw the children there. And I remember coming in and walking in, and the first thing I would see in the waiting area was Chyla doing homework. And making sure she got gun Chucky, all of them doing the work. And then after that, they would then go to work and be a part of it. And for them to have the opportunity to experience this. And I want to encourage parents to understand our children having the experience of being around our businesses, being around our church life, being around our public life. I remember growing up, Dr. Warren, and they would call us the latchkey kids because we had to come home when our mother was still at work. But my mother was very influential in the hospital that she worked at, and every holiday they would have big parties and everything, and the doctors would only invite people that they liked.
Yeah.
And so my mother would say, "Oh, we're going out tonight," and she would dress us up, have our Sunday clothes on, and we would go there and we would see nobody that looked like us, but we had the experience
Right.
of being at these fancy parties and seeing all these fancy things. And so as we grew up, it was expected for us to be comfortable in any situation that we were in, because not only did we see it growing up with black royalty, and black excellence, but we saw it on the other side, and we brought our black excellence everywhere we went. And the favorite word I always love, my mother would say, remember, everywhere you go, first of all, remember you're a King's kid, or you a Christian, and number two, you're a Thompson. And when you go out there, you represent both of those, and you represent them well. And if you do any of them wrong, realize you got to come home to me. And I tell people sometimes I have more fear for coming home to mama than even saying, Lord, you got me. So I think it's so important that we now gravitate to these young people. And when they go off kilter, still love them, but still teach them. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tease you, because I remember one time I said something, and you let me have it. And then you walked off. And then about 30 minutes later, you walked back and said, come off, let's talk. And sometimes we hear things as older people now, and it just like, oh my God, it kind of like rattles us. But then after we come back, we're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's a teachable moment. Let me go back. And I want to encourage the young people to understand to don't be afraid of when you get what I call our grandmother, when she got to a certain age, that whatever she thought, she just said. And it was comical to us, but there was so much teaching in that. Don't be afraid of those comments, because in the end, you are going to learn way more than you're going to lose.
Well, I'm there. I've been there for a long time. I say what I think, and I don't worry about the way it goes. I try to be more sensitive to harming people in the process. But someone has to speak truth to power, and I think it's important that we do so. And we see young people in church. I grew up in church. You grew up in church. Um, every week I'm ministering. I'm being reminded of something that was happening when I was in church that I had no interest in ministry or anything, but yet you are absorbing stuff. Just like my son always tells me, I'm so proud of him these days, and he'll say something, and I'll say something, and he'll give me another thought and something, and I'm saying, oh yeah, that's interesting. And then he would say, Dad, I was always listening. Even when you didn't think I was listening, I was listening. And that helps mold and shape them. And so I want to encourage If you don't have kids to do that with, then find a kid almost like an adopted grandparent. Find a kid to spend some time with. They need the time.
Mm-hmm.
Their parents can't always do it, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how. Nobody gives you a manual when you become a parent and tells you this is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Every situation can be different because every child can be different. And so we want to encourage, especially at this time with what we're going through, we have to circle the wagons. We have to help each other. We have to be mindful of how we spend and what we spend. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving is coming, but it's going to be a whole bunch of people that are not going to be able to eat this year. Are you going to bring someone into your house,
Mm-hmm.
or are you going to do the turkey thing and just circle the wagon with it? I mean, we've got to become concerned more than just for ourselves.
Dr. One, I want to say two things. One is that um, during this time of all this transition, during the time of election and propositions, do not exclude your children. I don't care if they're in elementary school, junior high school, or even college. Encourage them to know what the props are about. Encourage them to know why it is important. Because if we teach this at a very early age, it becomes very natural that they look forward to signing their voter registration card and voting. But if we only talk about it when they turn 18, they don't have the
It's too
engagement that
late.
they should have.
And you should take them with you when you go to vote.
Hmm.
Take them with you
Yeah, and let
and
them have the experience.
and explain that this situation. Voting is so important because people died that we
Hmm.
might have the right to vote.
Yeah.
People were killed to keep them from voting.
Hmm.
And so here we are squandering the right. Well, it's cloudy and I don't feel up to it and I don't think it's going to make a difference.
Hmm.
If it did make a difference, you wouldn't have the freedom that you have today because
Yeah.
somebody went through it to make it possible. And this is what we have to continue to get this message out going forward. And
And
I'm
I,
excited about it.
yeah, and I want to say this as we move forth into the holiday season and Thanksgiving. Some people celebrate it, some people don't. Some people are not going to have turkey; they're going to have Cornish hens, or they're going to have a non-traditional, quote unquote, American Thanksgiving. And I hear about all the multiple turkey giveaways. Couple of ground rules I would like to encourage the people that are listening. Number one, if you go to one get turkey giveaway and you get one turkey, don't keep going back in to try to get more turkeys. Let someone else that might need a turkey get a turkey. Another thing is doing turkey giveaways. We do it all over the city. Lachey Collins, she's going to have one. We know that Akila Weber is going to have one. We know that other people are having them, and they're doing it as a service to the community. I want to encourage you guys to stop with being what I call poverty pimps, where you're making so much noise about what you're doing that you take away from why you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? We do a thing called Dinner and a Song, and believe it or not, it's Mama Bear. It's her birthday gift to herself.
Yeah.
She wants 100 families that not only have turkeys but full Thanksgiving dinners that they can make breakfast, they can make lunch, they can make dinner, but she wants them to do it as a family. So she gives them baskets and baskets of food so that 100 families on her birthday will be able to eat. And she never wants to do media. She never wants pictures being done. We have to have a spirit of thanksgiving, and in our service, we have to take it as Christ. Christ made no representation of himself.
Well, this is important because we had the Wilsons for many years, and the military got involved and helped them. They fed thousands every Thanksgiving.
Thousands.
I want to mention something because I know we're running out of time here real quick. I want to encourage us to be aware of this whole Halloween scenario that's going on. First of all, between $6 and $11 billion is being spent on all this crazy stuff you see, the skeletons in the yard and the bones and all of this. And this stuff is satanic. Witchcraft is satanic. The Bible speaks against it. Fortune telling is satanic. And if you're engaging in these things, then you're engaging in something other than what God intended for you to be in. I know we don't want to hear a sermon. I'm not going to give you a sermon. Heaven or hell is your personal choice. But the money that's being wasted when people are hungry, and the people without shelter and housing, and the whole thing about the candy. You can't trust your kids going out to do the trick or treat thing. People are putting razors in the apples and poison in the candy and all kinds of things to kill folks. I mean, it's a bad time. And I guess the ultimate thing to me is to see adults dressing up in all of these costumes, witches, warlocks, vampires, all of these things. Those things are not to be glorified. And Halloween comes the eve before All Saints' Day,
Mhm.
which is an important occasion in the Latino community and in the church in terms of acknowledging people that already died. But it wasn't intended to have this demonic aspect that you get the night before, witches and goblins and the Walking Dead and all those kinds of things. So be mindful. If you want to do something on the 31st, how about spending some time in prayer against all of this stuff? Be an intercessor in terms of what's going on. And
Yeah.
I think it'll make a difference.
And Dr. Warren, I think we have to be very, very clear with this to all the parents and all the kids that are out there. Trick-or-treating is still not a safe environment. You have to literally know where things are coming from, because at this point, candy looks like candy lace fentanyl looks like candy, and the kids are not going to know the difference. And we
And one
stand
piece
to
can
lose.
kill them.
Yeah, we stand to lose thousands and thousands of kids and adults, because they like to get the candy too, because we're not being very cautious. So, for those of you guys that know that they're going to be probably stores that and malls that are going to have things, go to places where you know it's safe. Go to the neighbors that you really do know and realize, and I want to say this, and I'll leave it with this, Dr. Warren, is that if it's about the candy, go to the store and buy your kids the candy and hide it all around the house and let them go a Halloween or shopping in the house, and then you know what you got.
And of course, many of the churches do All Saints nights,
Hmm.
and people have their kids dress up as characters from the Bible, and they have all kinds of things, apple bobbling, candy hidden in the church. They're safe things to do if you don't want to cut that experience off from your child. So we want to encourage you. This week I have the true picture of Halloween in the paper and online. You can read it, and I talk about it. I do an in-depth teaching about the satanic nature of all of this stuff. And so we encourage you, be informed, be cautious, be prayerful. And we do, of course, thank you for uh, taking your time to listen. And this program is archived, so you can go back. We still got to get this Prop 50 out of the way, folks.
Yeah. And let me say before we leave this, Dr. Warren, we are preparing for the gala. The gala's coming up very soon, and you're giving the community a great opportunity to nominate for the Humanitarian Award, the Jerry Warren Humanitarian Award. Just hit on that real quick before we leave, because I want people to know that this is a time that you can really be a blessing to somebody that you know has been doing a great work, but under celebrated.
Well, the gala is going to be February 13th, and the Humanitarian Award is named after the late Pastor Jerry Warren, co-publisher, because of her love for San Diego and the people. And there are folks doing things, and we want their names. We have pastors that we are giving Good Shepherd, and we have young people, organizations, and entities that we're bringing into the fold. And so the tickets are going to be very affordable this year. They're not going to be no more than $95 a person. We're not doing 100 and 150 and all of the other stuff that people are doing. And it's going to be a time certain. We got away with, what was it, 2 hours last year?
Yes. Yeah, 2
Little,
hours.
yeah, a little more than 2 hours last year. And you could go on YouTube and do Voice and Viewpoint Gala 2025 and see the program from last year to get an idea of what it is. It is a dressy event. It's black tie for men, not your casual street clothes. If you come and you're not dressed, you will not be admitted. I will put you out. And so it's time that we step up our game and have some culture and have some respect for ourselves. If we don't respect ourselves, we can't expect others to respect us.
And I'm gonna ditto that. We talk about how we see on social media all the black men that I think they call it black men in gray, or the gray men, but they have their suits and they're so finely dressed and everything. And we talk about it, and I say how beautiful it is. But then when we're asked to do the same thing in our own city, we always find an excuse. So I just want to encourage everybody. We want to bring back the class and the coolness of dressing up and looking that way that we do. You know, because there's nothing. I always tell me there's nothing like a African American man in a suit in a tuxedo. It just does something for the whole thing. It's nothing to see. Nothing like seeing our women dressed and formal
Our
and
own bouquet
yeah,
of flowers, which is
exactly.
certainly a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
We thank you for being with us. Read this week's paper. Join us online each day. We have information that's up there for you. I think you'll be helpful. Let's keep this Prop 50 on our lips between now and next week and get the vote done.
All right.
And we encourage you to be blessed.
This is from the desk of the editor with Dr. John Warren, right here on GODRadio1.com. You'll be blessed.